It's, okay, so Brian's not gonna be here, right? Okay. Roll call. Approval of minutes of the previous committee meeting, Tuesday, July 30th. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unfinished business, new referrals for consideration. Presentation, discussion, all aboard for Olean, a citywide cleanup.
So Bill and I had been, well, I ran a concept past him and we thought it might be something worthwhile to pursue. I apologize, they were prettier, pass these around. Just kind of a rough concept here. But like other communities that really foster at least one day a year where all different organizations come together to do a citywide cleanup. I know the school district does a great job tackling Oak Hill Park and the different parks. And I thought that this might be a great opportunity to come together. I've reached out to JCC, they're on board. I spoke with the president, and he's very much in favor of trying to recruit and volunteers at the JCC campus. I talked to Rick Moore, again, he's on board. I've got to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce and OBD, but I think the concept is really to try to get one day where the city is willing to pay for the gloves and the bags and the disposal, but we really try to get as many people out into the neighborhoods and into specifically 5 sections, which are in the notes here of East State, West State, North Union, South Union, Wayne Street, and Front Street, and then any adjoining streets to walk along and pick up trash and pick up cigarette butts and do really all of our part. So right now I'm reading about how to run successful citywide cleanup events. We're shooting, talked to Bill, shooting potentially for Saturday, September 21st. Bono Responds is in. I've got to talk to the university as well. And then knowing that we have the Kaboom playground event on the following Saturday, we thought maybe a rain day for October 5th might be worthwhile to put on there. And it's just giving 5 hours to our community. And I know we do have a group that does do cleanup efforts already. I reached out to them, and they do a great job. And obviously, what I would like to try to see this spill over to is greater volunteerism, really trying to step up into the community, and all of us do our part, because the idea that the city should take care of all of these problems, that's not true. We run a very lean organization. However many members there are, parks and streets, they don't have time to be going around and picking up cigarette butts. But maybe if we got together as a community, maybe this is something we could tackle and kind of make a dent in it. During the, we can come back to this, but I do want to segue for 1 minute to something positive that's come out of talking to the different parties that I mentioned. When I was talking to Bono Response and St. Bonaventure, they said, well, do you have anything going on sooner? And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, we've got, when the students come back to school on August 25th, there are some volunteer requirements for incoming freshmen. And could you use about 50 hands, or 50 pair of hands? And I said, well, sure, let me talk to Bill. And so I reached out to Bill, and we kind of racked our brains and thought that maybe repainting Gargoyle, the pavilion down there, is in pretty rough shape. And got back in touch with Jim Mahar So it's kind of a collaborative effort between St. Bonaventure and Bonner Responds, and they're all on board to show up at 9 a.m. on August 25th. If we provide the paint, they're more than willing to repaint the Gargoyle Pavilion for us. I don't know how you say no to an offer like that. I went down there, I've taken some pictures. Again, I apologize, my printer wasn't cooperating with me here today, but it's in pretty rough shape. It needs some scraping. It definitely needs some TLC. But I think it's an opportunity. Bill?
Yeah, Bob and I, we met down there today with Chris Kenyon, and then we looked the place over, and we've got some repair work to do prior to getting this, but we can, we're going to make plans to have the entire building power washed. Where they're using our staff for that. That'll help in the scraping. I'm a little hesitant about asking the bonus students to go up high. So, but we figure we can get most of it painted, at least up to where, up to on the sides, up to the roof. But the roof needs repair. Mm-hmm. Okay, there was tree damage a year ago, punctured the roof. So John and I have been talking. And Bob and I talked today, and we would probably need to do some decent repairs on there between $10,000 and $15,000 over and above what we budgeted this year for repairs. But I agree with John. This is an opportunity that if we can get the repairs done, and then have bodies come in and paint it, we still got a lot of work to do inside. And I'm real hesitant about asking anyone to go up in them rafters inside. That is a different subject. But there is some low work that we could do inside the paint. But there's no sense painting it until we get the roof fixed. So if we can get some additional funds to get that in pretty good shape, right now there's some wood that needs to be replaced. The roof is metal. Bob's gonna get a contractor to take a look at it and see that. Because with the metal roofing, at least they'll be able to replace just the metal panels that's up there. So it won't have to be the whole roof. But it's a big building, and it's a nice building if we can put some money into it. So Bob, you want to add anything?
No, I mean I think it's a good opportunity. We've been doing like 1 to 2 pavilions a year, and it's nice to have some volunteers. And if we can get it painted, our guys will maybe replace some boards a little bit here and there before they do paint. We'll do the washing and cleaning and chipping off the old paint. Then there's a couple other things we can tackle with a little bit of extra money. Like the fire pit that I don't know if you noticed, it's been vandalized. Looking for a permanent solution there. And just general upgrades will eventually take care of the inside. So I think maybe the volunteers can take care of the outside.
Mm-hmm.
John, who's your contact about that you're working with? Jim Mahar?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we, are we still renting it out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, has that fallen off, or is it about the same?
It has tailed off a little bit, mainly because we don't have Cooper using it anymore. Mm-hmm. But we still have Alcast using it. We still have had a few weddings there this year, and some other use there. But it's a decent place. I think if we can bring it back up, we can get more rentals. And that down there.
I think that's a valid point, right? If you go down there and you look at it, I wouldn't want to have a graduation or a reception there. I mean, it's in rough shape, right? But yeah, if we and the roof's cracked open, so I think if we
that's where the majority of the money goes to fix the roof.
Right.
So, but the paint, Bob figures a couple $1,000s in paint. It's a big building, so. But if we can get 50 hands down there, painting,
Can do 2 hours.
yeah, they can get it done. Yeah.
and that's really what they're looking to do, like 3 or 4 hours, like from 9 to 1. So it might be a win for the city.
I think the last time it was painted was when we had the weekend workers, and they did it in the afternoon, the outside in the afternoon. So it has been a while.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on the cleanup effort?
Can I make a comment on that? I haven't been down there this summer, but Argo has always been kind of a tough one for the city financially. Mm-hmm. But if we can get the roof fixed and painted, I'm all about that because if you let the roof go, you write the whole thing off, so.
Yeah.
Very supportive of getting
Well,
the roof fixed and sprucing them up down there.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, that's our store, we store a lot of our outdoor stuff that was stored in there during the winter months. So, you know.
If we let
tables-
that thing get away from us,
yeah.
it can get exponentially harder to bring back, so.
So it sounds like you're favorable to the idea of supporting the volunteers for that effort. You know, whether or not Bill and Bob, whether there's funding in your budget or you'd be coming for a special appropriation for $10,000 to fix the roof and get that pavilion up to snuff. It sounds like we're favorable for that effort. Bouncing back to hosting, and please be honest, I mean, nothing's set in stone yet, and hosting a citywide cleanup effort, is that something that you think the community could rally behind? Is it a viable concept?
Yeah.
I know different groups do it on their own, but some communities, I was in my research, you know, they've done it for 50 years, where it's like on one day a year, all the groups come together. I don't know.
JCC used to yearly, they'd have a bunch of students do that trail that goes to Adams Street. They used to pick that up for us. So different groups have done lots of things in the past.
There's a lot of avenues too. We can get a hold of the greater area, the Greater Olean Area Council of Churches, and recruit that way.
Good.
I know the kids who are receiving their confirmation, they have to do so many hours of community service. You got the National Honor Society, and then you already contacted the school. You know, so there's a lot of avenues. I think we should. I like the idea. I think it's, you know, and if we can get this going on an annual event, I know a lot of communities do it around Earth Day.
Sure.
But you know, but if we can get this going, and then you have that group at the middle school that goes out and picks up the bags of cigarette butts,
Right.
you know, all the time.
Reality
I know
check.
they would. What is it? Yeah, reality.
Reality
Yeah,
check.
I think they would be favorable of helping here too.
John, Archbishop Wall
There's a lot of
students are
cost in
required
the hospital.
to have community service
Right.
hours every academic year, so definitely worth reaching out to them and rounding up a bunch of Walsh kids.
Sure.
Yeah.
Drug court, probation department. Those two that popped in my head.
Who would I talk to? Chief Rowley? Court and
That court would be. There's a coordinator up here. It is.
Stacy.
Malcolm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a coordinator.
You know, and I mean, really, if there's any further ideas, you know, as far as the dates, you don't have to have them right now, but if you want to talk to me offline about it, that's totally fine. I just really, again, I think it's a worthwhile effort. I think we give it a try.
I think too, to piggyback off that, if we do make this an annual event in September, you talked about Earth Day, Bill, doing the parks on Earth Day. Hinton
Yeah,
Grove,
yeah.
doing Forness Pond. I mean, after the winter, that's always a mess.
That's
Some of
good.
the other parks around Earth Day, so that you get cleaned up twice a year.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Spring cleaning, fall cleaning.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm all for this. You know, just because each group's going to do their own thing anyways.
Right.
But if you can kind of unite the clans and just bring everybody together on one big mass, you know, to just take down the brunt of it, I think it's a great idea.
And there's people that would be willing to do this, but having the city pay for the gloves and the garbage bags and stuff, they'd be like, oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah. They do that now with the looting.
Right.
They give us bags and stuff.
We can have, you know, we can always say we can have a couple of pickup points too.
I was just gonna
Bring
say,
your
where would
bags
you
to,
take the bags?
you know, we can have them bring their bags to Front Street, or bring them to War Vets parking lot, and you know.
You might want to hit like the train to like Seneca.
Oh, yeah. I remember
People are
one
throwing
year.
things up and down the train.
Yep.
I don't know why that's a hub for garbage for people.
It's
If
just,
they're trying to hit the trains, but it's
Yeah.
really bad.
I know a
one
few
year
people.
we picked up 32 bags of garbage along there. There was a refrigerator, a computer,
They're there.
before they cut the
They
grass
walk
back.
the tracks. They walk
They
the
just throw
tracks.
it.
They just
Yeah.
throw it out of cars.
Yeah,
Blows off of vehicles,
so bad.
and just catches, and you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a wind tunnel down there too. So.
I can try to help gather volunteers. I know a lot of people that own big pickup trucks, dump trucks, things like that. I know a few people in the garbage industry that might be willing to donate like dumpster stations for.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and I'm not out here to try to sign any of you guys up for this, you know, by any means, but if anybody wants to partake in, you know, being kind of the focal point on some of these different streets, right, to help coordinate the efforts, because, you know, if you end up with, you know, maybe you don't need 30 people going down Front Street,
Right,
you know,
right.
but there are the adjoining streets there, then, you know, then Seneca's there, then Prospect's there.
Well, I
And-
think even if nothing else, we as aldermen in each ward are aware of where the trouble spots are.
Sure.
With garbage and trash, that
Sure.
we could say, yeah, you don't have to focus on this part, but maybe take 10 people and go down here.
Right. And there's
Then
3 of
everybody-
us.
You're right, then you have 30 people walking the
Right.
same,
Right.
picking up behind each other.
Correct.
Which, kids, you could see them, I wanna go with 30 of my friends and
Right.
we're going right here.
I-
Yeah, there's 3 of us that pick up the Front Street area, and it's amazing what attracts there, and I think it's because of the wall for the dike.
Oh,
It just gets blown over and it just stays there. So yeah, we pick that up.
Kelly, reach out to your neighborhood watch task force,
Yeah.
and that's a good hub of, you know, good Samaritans that would probably be more than willing to help clean up their neighborhood. So
we give out signs.
Yeah.
We need more signs.
kill 2 birds, 1 stone. I mean, it's a big mass effort. So
Yep, good idea. Okay, everybody set with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to discussion of fees. Now I see there's, did everyone get the sheet on Lincoln Park?
This is a worksheet,
Okay.
okay? And if I may, what we did is I met with Fred, I met with Terry Belly, who does most of the park rentals and stuff, and Michiko. And we went over our fee structure, and now a couple of things about the new Lincoln Square. It will have restrooms, that's a big plus, okay? We will not have tables, so that's, people who rent it will have to bring in their own tables or that. We have electric, so those are some of the pluses now. And when you look at the building, and I'm calling them stalls, it could be booths or whatever, but it's on the street side, we have 9 on the east side of the building and 5 on the west side, and on the park side, we have 9 and 5. So we have a total of potentially of 28 vendors or stalls in there. Now, what we based our rental fee on is what we offer at War Vets also. The nice thing about War Vets has tables, but it doesn't have restrooms available unless the
Rec center?
recreation center is open, or they can pay $15 an hour to have it staffed. So I'm suggesting that right now is that the east side, we get 150, this is just Lincoln Square, that's the new building. We get $150 per day for the east side. Now, a day is 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. So the west side, $75, because that's almost half the size of the east side. And then the whole square, $200 a day. Now to rent Lincoln Park and Lincoln Square, $350 a day. The rent, right now, Lincoln, the gazebo, we get $35 for 2 hours. And that's, we pick up people that want to do a wedding or a church service or things like that, we get that. Lincoln Park only, that would exclude Lincoln Square, $150, that's the current fee. The Beef Show building, I'm leaving that blank right now because I wanted to get some input on that. And the Beef Show building will have, it'll have electric, we have water to the building, but we won't have any accommodations in it for a while here yet. So it's not, I mean, we ran water and sewer to the building while we had the street open, rather than later on dig up. So that's going to be that can be another discussion. And just some notes. We have restrooms. We have 3 restrooms. They're not. They're just restrooms for anybody. We have electric, no table. Now rental by stall. This is where, and then long-term rental. Example would be a farmer's market. Right now, the farmer's market is at the mall, and they paid for this year to be at the mall. I would like to get them up there and have them there. Tentatively, we've set August 24th at 10 a.m. to be the ribbon cutting on the building. That's a Saturday. I would like to have the farmers market there and going when we do the dedication. So I'm suggesting that we give it to them for the rest of the season and no fee. They've already paid at the mall, and for them to leave there and pay another fee, it wouldn't be feasible for them.
Will
So-
they get back the money that they paid, that they're
Probably
not gonna
not,
be there?
no.
Okay.
They pay one price for the year. down there.
Gotcha.
So I'm asking that we give it to them from August, September, and October, and that'll get it up there, that'll get people acclimated to being there, getting the building used. Then we can have we can either establish a small committee to negotiate long-term rentals, or it gives us some time to talk some more about it as we move forward with the building itself. So,
Can I ask a question? When you, so I just need clarification, maybe we should clarify on here. If you're renting Lincoln Park only,
Mhm.
would it include the gazebo?
it does, yes. If you rent Lincoln Park for $150, it includes the gazebo. Yeah.
So Bill, are we gonna have a scale, say somebody wants to rent Lincoln Square for half a day? From like, not half a day, I'm sorry, for like maybe 2 hours instead of the 7 to 10, which is all day.
Yeah, we can, well, what I'm thinking is that we come up with what I would call a stall rental. So if you want to come in, like we had the one lady wanted to sell hula hoops. So say they wanted to come in, we have a price for a stall rental for the day. And then you're only taking up a small, one spot. And then have, let's face it, we built this and everything's been called the farmers markets. We want to encourage them to come. And, we could have a yearly fee for the long-term vendors. We could encourage other markets to come there. We could have just a one-shot fee. And, we're benefiting. So these farmers, they don't have a lot of money. They have a lot of expenses with insurance and that there. Now, some of this expenses is going to go away here because our building will provide electric, and they won't have to have their tents and stuff, and that's the whole idea of this. So, but I think that we could have another discussion on what our rent structure is going to be on a stall, say a per stall per day basis, or we can always come up with, if you only want to be there for a few hours, we can come up with a fee for that too. I don't want to get too many fees, and well, I was only there for an hour and 1 minute. I don't want to pay for this. So if we have a structure, that I think the key is going to be is if this is going to be used for a wedding, that would be a nice go into the gazebo for a wedding, have your reception underneath in the square, and so things like that there. But I think the other thing is that we need some willingness to negotiate some fees too here as we move forward with different groups and that, and we want it to be used.
Right.
And I would be in favor of I like the idea of doing a rental by stall, because, for the summer season, you have a farmer's market, you have one organization to which you can negotiate with. But and I'm hopeful, right, that we can transition and have a, holiday or a Christmas market there too, where maybe individual vendors would want to just rent a stall.
Right.
And so I think that's probably a good idea to have that fee, where if I sell knickknacks, I can, pay $10 or something a day to set up there.
And I was thinking we really should take advantage, coming off that, I think of like Ellicottville when they do the horse and carriage and they do Christmas in the park.
Yeah.
Like we really ought to consider, Santa's house is going to move back there.
That's the beef stroke. That's the new
It's
Santa
gotta be
house
But
too.
what I'm saying is to have Christmas in the park and then having
Yeah.
that rental Someone
Oh,
could
yeah.
come and sell Christmas tree skirts, somebody could sell their Christmas tree, somebody could, like, music
Wreaths.
boosters, do the wreaths.
Wreaths.
You know, there might be
Around
decorations.
around Thanksgiving time or how pumpkins.
Right.
Set up a stand in there, pumpkins.
Heck, we could reach out to the places in Ellicottville and have them come over and do ski rentals, because our ski, usually everybody
Mhm.
at the high school, middle school that do ski club that rent have to go over there to rent them, but maybe they would bring people over here and set it up
Yeah.
there
Mhm. And now that we have the art council, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
art in the park like
Yeah.
it used to be.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna encourage the chamber to have art in the park and,
Yeah.
Taste of Home.
Taste of
That's
Home
where it
in-
used to
in
be.
the park, yeah,
And
Well,
people
the
love to
bistro
throw.
there.
yeah.
A quick question, did we ever, as part of this design, are there roll-down sides that can be put on this structure?
Yes. that'll be
So we
good.
could potentially use it during
Yeah,
November,
well,
December?
Yeah, the idea there was those with if it gets windy or
Right.
rain and they can pull them down,
Right.
and, yeah. But, we've said right along that this could be an 8-month facility.
Right.
Mhm. That's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck, you could host a, man, am I thinking out of the box, but in January, like sled riding or something in the park in January when there's nothing for kids to do,
Mhm.
sell hot chocolate.
A lot of
somebody-
things
For,
you can do
um,
there. Mhm.
For Santa Claus Lane, the aldermen could sell hot chocolate and cookies, or give them away.
Well, the nice thing is too, we're gonna have 3 restrooms there for Santa Claus
Mhm.
Lane. Okay, now, and even, picture this for the concerts in the park.
Yeah.
Right now, we came up the other night, we didn't go, we were coming back into town, and I watched 2 older gentlemen walking from John J.S. Community Building.
Probably my dad. So that's pretty-
And, they probably more than likely, they went over to use the restroom.
Yeah.
So now, it's gonna be right in the park. And, so that's nice too, that we'll have that there. So, this is gonna be, and you've got some cover. You can see the stage and hear everything perfectly from underneath where, the east end of the thing. And even, potentially, if the weather looks halfway bad, you could have the band set up on the one end and people could sit underneath this. That, if you haven't been over there, go under it and look. This is a nice size.
It's beautiful.
But would the band have to rent it?
Not in our concert, I'm talking about, if somebody else wanted to do it, yeah. But, for our concerts, no. I'm saying for Thursday night concerts,
Yeah.
yeah. Instead of using the John
Gazebo.
J.S. Community Building,
Mhm.
you could, in an event of bad rain, you could actually go underneath there.
Mhm.
So,
Just to give you like my 2 cents worth, Bill, if you're looking and you're suggesting that renting Lincoln Square, the entire structure is $200 a day, and we've got 28 stalls there, then you might, maybe just something like $10 per stall, right? So that would be a
I'm
total
saying-
of $280 per stall.
yeah.
Per
What,
day.
I guess what I'm saying here, John, is if you wanted to rent the east side to have, your family party there.
Oh, I see.
Okay, now then,
Yes.
if you wanted to rent per stall, then we'd come up with a
Yeah.
per stall fee, and then that would be, yeah.
Yep,
So,
agreed.
and then they'll say, well, I can rent it for this much for the whole place, so maybe we do have to think about that, so.
Yes, you just
Yeah.
knock out the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right away, I would look for an okay from everybody here to approach the farmer's market and ask them to come in and finish the season out with us, and come in on August 24th would be their first day in there, and we would cut the ribbon that day and have it,
Well, they could get a feel for what it's like to
Mhm.
unpack their stuff. 'Cause
Yeah.
if they're gonna back into the stall. And
right.
I think it's a great idea. You need a little momentum, a little push.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of season left for these people. We're right at the tail end, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't charge. You're gonna have to incentivize if they get them down there, so.
Yeah.
Kevin, you're there every weekend.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
So fee's a big thing that scares the farmers off, and that's what they're kind of worried about. And I feel that a lot more discussion about the fee structure going forward might be necessary. You know what I mean? Like obviously your long term, your anchor stores, right? You kind of want to have them in there, but you don't want to scare them away. You want to make sure they're there, they're happy, because at the end of the day, the reason for the fee structure isn't for the city to just revenue generate. It's just so that somebody can't just go down there, pay $1 and rent it for the entire summer, right? It's just so that everybody who, it gives somebody a reason why. Well, I have to have a reason to rent the
A
place.
little skin in the game.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's also Lincoln Square, Lincoln Park, the entire shebang is for the community. So that's what.
What do you think about August 24th? Do you think they'll start coming from August 24th on?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
They're excited about going to the new place, but at the end of the day, their concern too is no, not really. They had a meeting there a couple weeks ago or a week ago, so they thought it was a great idea. They're worried about working out the semantics, but they're down to earth people. You know what I mean? They're just, we'll get in there, we'll figure it out as it goes. Let's try to have a little idea of what's going on. What do we do? Things like that. But a lot of their major concern was they're just like farmers during the Great Depression. It's they're gun shy.
They're good people.
Yeah.
And they want to, they love the couple. I've had two or three different meetings with them now, and what's good for them is they're not going to have to bring their tents anymore. That's a big plus. They have restrooms right there. They don't have to walk. When they get there, it's set up at what time they get there? Kevin, 7?
Some of them at 7, some of them at 7:30. They have to open by 8.
Yeah. So they're they get there. They come in and they need to use the restroom, and they have to either walk across the street to Wendy's or Burger King or wait till the mall opens up and then go there. So this will give them that.
I drag a porta john there every week this summer, so it saves me from having to drag a porta john.
So, and I think they're good people. They're excited about it, and but they are, as anything, they're worried about. Some of them don't. If we put a $100 a day fee on it, they don't make that much. So we need to put a nominal fee, there, and use it for the purposes.
Is there still another farmer's market operating in Olean?
Yeah.
Tractor Supply on Friday evenings.
Chuck Kuchar's group is down at.
Why are they going to get on board with our facility?
I've had conversations about a year ago, and but that's a conversation we can have. They're on Fridays. They're on Fridays.
Yeah, a lot
Merge.
of the folks down there are the Amish. Because I stopped
Do
over
they
there.
pay
a
to
few
use
times.
that parking lot?
That's what I was wondering.
I
I'm
don't
not part of
know.
their organization.
No, I'm asking you.
My,
You seem to know a lot about everything.
Yeah,
I'm just
my
curious.
brother-in-law comes in from Fillmore and sells rabbit meat. And he pays a fee to be there.
Okay.
At Tractor Supply?
Yeah.
Okay.
He
They're
pays
not
it
always the
to
same
that.
people too, like in the fall, they have pumpkin people come.
So there was a big division between the two different farmers. It used to all be REAP.
But they're not at the same time.
No, they're not at the same time, but
What's
they.
that?
Friday.
So if we were to somehow find a way to force them to use our facility,
Well, we would
They
encourage,
wouldn't
we're
clash.
gonna encourage them to use our facility. We're gonna reach out to them.
It shouldn't clash, but the reason they separated was because of some of the guys were bringing in. I'm sure you guys remember the fellow who came to speak about the hucksters markets and all this other stuff uptown, and nobody wants to be a huckster. And
Well, they,
but that's it's more garage sale stuff. And so what happened was some of the vendors were bringing things in that were. I bought it from an Amish bid site where you can buy a crate full, a trailer full of apples, and then they sell it at the farmer's market, call it their own. And so there was a lot of division on that where.
But there
the-
again,
the-
the flea market up there is not a bad idea
Right.
either. If they want to rent space, and we have flea market during the week up there. Farmers, farmers. We have the Kuchar's group possibly coming in on Friday, and then the farmers market coming in on Saturday. That's what we're looking for.
I like that idea about.
We're looking to
I got a
bring.
lot of trash under the hall there.
Backyard Bargains is going to rent it every
I got a couple
Friday.
mobile buildings
So,
and stuff.
and if it's okay, I guess is what I'm hearing, if it's okay, I will approach the REAP group about coming in on starting on the 24th up there, and then we'll have continual talks on the other stuff here.
Okay,
Okay?
okay. Moving on to C, discussion of the, you're welcome, 85,000 transfer for additional sewer line. Bob?
We talked about this multiple times, so I just provided a summary for you all of what our ask is, $85,000 in additional funds on top of the $250,000 in budgeted funds to put towards secured in place, sewer lining, which is like a foam that expands within sanitary line. Our goal is to start on the left side of the page on the map, at the black manhole that runs along the levee system, down 3 manholes, $250,000 the way the process works. Can't be spent because you can't stop in the middle of a line. You have to go manhole to manhole. The way that they bypass the sewer and the way that the system works has to end in a manhole. The master plan, I scanned that today, this afternoon, and I'll send it to you all, just so you can familiarize yourselves with it. In there, this is one of the priority projects. We do our best to stick to it, in the city with making some judgment calls. This project in the master plan is to 4th Street, from the sewer plant to 4th Street, which is the goal. It is asked to be completed by 2021. If we spend a little bit extra money on it this year and a little bit extra money on it next year, we'll get there by 2021. The things that concern me about this line, it's corrugated metal and it's 36 inches thick. I watched the video today. My staff has told me about the condition of it. It's rusty. The pipe sections are separating. It's in poor condition. The location is very concerning. It's right along the levee. I found out it was built in the 1950s during when they rebuilt the levee system. So in 42 we had the flood. So from like 45 to 50 they rebuilt the levee system higher. And for whatever reason they built the sanitary system in the flood control easement. I think that was a really poor choice. This line is 10 to 15 feet deep. If we were to dig it up, if you know what benching is, basically when you dig so that someone doesn't get buried in a trench, you have to basically go in steps every 6 feet. So you're talking about incredibly wide trench. The cost to dig up an issue would be not only expensive, but time consuming and difficult with the levee right there. 70 to 80% of our sanitary sewer flows through this line, making it another priority. We get 6 million gallons a day on a dry day. So you're talking about 4 million gallons a day going through this line on any day. And we get 12 million gallons a day on a rainy day. The potential for this line to fail on a rainy day, more than likely, is really catastrophic. You're talking about from the time that it fails to the time that we could get in there and bypass this line, you're talking about millions of gallons of pollution. That last bypass we had was 200,000 gallons. So this would be much larger than that in an awful location in one of our biggest trunk sewers. Our biggest trunk sewer is this line. One thing that I spoke to Fred today is that we don't have 1.6 million fund balance. We have 2.3 million after the 2018-19 summary. So there's some good news. I'm just asking, just for this year. Another thing that the master plan says is to apply for grant funding. If they want us to spend $250,000 and apply for grants for additional funding, that's going to be a step that we take next year. But again, just for this year, I'm asking for the additional $5,000.
Bob, I have a question. We spoke last week about if there was a break. I think, Paul, you had mentioned, won't go up the toilets because there's a backfill to stop it. It will go into the yards or wherever it breaks, right? Where will it go?
I suspect we would find out about it by it coming up through people's backyards, one way or the other.
And eventually
Because
into the river.
Probably a sinkhole, perhaps. But eventually, if it was completely plugged, it would bypass through the 4th Street station. It would back up into 4th Street, and it would overflow into the river. And at that point, we would be notified. There's sensors when we overflow. So.
Now, what are the fines if we overflow?
I don't know. I that question today. There's no way to really know from, what the DEC would require of us. Again, with them being involved with the levy system too.
Mhm. Now, if we were to overflow, could the communities down the line hold us accountable for that?
We've been in contact before about this after the 200,000 gallon flow with the Senecas. There's, again, like sewage is really the worst thing that you want to deal with as far as getting sick from touching something dirty, a doorknob touching your eye or your mouth. I mean, this is obviously raw sewage. It can lead to algae blooms, and the Seneca's environmental team has contacted us before. They're not, they have a lot of concerns. They monitor these types of things closely. I suppose they could sue us. I don't know.
Hey, Bob, you said to meet this 2021 deadline, you want some extra this year, and you're going to ask for some extra next year. What do you think the extra next year is going to be to meet the 21 deadline?
We would have, this goes 11th to 8th Street, so we'd have to get 4th Street, which is, maybe an extra block from this. I think it'd be a little bit more. I don't have those estimates prepared on me.
But it will be a similar request.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to budget for that either?
Well, we can budget, but you're saying we're gonna go over 250,000,
I
right?
think it's unlikely, right?
So you're saying we can budget for it, but it's gonna be more in the tune of $330,000,
Right.
right? An extra 80,000 next year too.
I think it'll probably be a little bit more, but yes.
400,000.
Costs could go up. I think the distance is slightly more. Last year we allotted an additional 95,000, if I remember right.
Okay.
I think it's a similar number.
Okay.
Okay.
Fred, do you happen to know what percent, $2.3 million, is from the fund balance, on the sewer fund?
Off the top of my head, we're looking at 60%.
60%.
That's it. Off the top of my head.
A point that you made, Bob, that is meaningful, and I appreciate the fact that you are trying to be proactive, right? And you're trying to get this project done because there is risk involved there. Is how much more costly would it be if one of these lines were to fail? So now you're describing it, saying these things are buried 15 feet down, and you've got to dig this massive wide trench.
Benching.
And so you can't just, if one of these lines fails, you can't just shove one of these liners, right? One of the lining, you can't just put one of those in there to correct it.
Or that's the reason we do lining in the first place. It's significantly cheaper than replacement.
Right.
My other thought is too, because now I'm thinking about it, is so you're benching this giant trench to repair a line when you've got 12 million gallons coming through on a rainy day. You've got to put that somewhere, right? Otherwise, now you've got a giant trench that's a mini river of raw sewage. So these guys are trying to work on it. So you can just imagine like how difficult that's got to be. And just from a plumbing aspect, like you've got to stop the upflow so you can work on this part that's clogged. That's
I think you remember along Irving Street they had that big pipe. That was the bypass pipe for the sewer lining company. We'd have to get that set up to stop any bypass into the river. So from the time we found out about the break, instead of just digging down to try and fix it, we'd have to bypass. It takes some time.
And expense.
Yeah, I will say, as my vote, I'll support this. I just ask at budget time, can we remember we're going to ask, this is going to be coming up again. So let's talk about it budget time, not next summer when we're all kind of settled in the budget.
Yeah.
Well, I think the bigger picture, I have never doubted this project needed done. The bigger picture and probably even more, I don't even have words, maybe, but for the $2.3 million sewer fund balance being so high means that we kept raising taxes to get it there, and now we're sitting on it, so we're going to keep taking from it until we get it down to a reasonable So instead of, maybe we shouldn't have been raising taxes?
We didn't raise
We didn't
taxes,
raise
we
taxes.
raised the sewer and water rates.
To be,
This has nothing to do with taxes.
but
Right.
it also was building.
It's a to me, we argue about this every time. It's still a fee. It's
Right.
still a tax to me. And people say fee, I say tax, whatever. But it's that high, we're gonna keep doing that.
When the payments have to start going back in for the sewer fund though, like for the sewer plant, we are still shy of making those payments based on our rates because we had to raise them. Had we started raising them this year, we'd be nowhere close to be able to make those payments.
So where's that coming from?
So what we had to,
$1 million?
so the reason it built up though is you're having to transition people into paying a slightly higher sewer rate, so they didn't have to pay 25% or 30% this coming year. They pay 5% a year. It builds a fund balance, which helps us with projects like this, but also prepares the city to be able to make those service debt service debt payments. There we go.
How much are we gonna have to pay back
That
a
was
year
the next question.
Let's
on
build
the sewer plant?
600,000 a year.
600,000 a year?
Something like that.
Which is,
Well, that's gonna
That's
go
built.
quick.
That's
Which
built-
is-
No, that's built into the budget.
yeah, but it's
It is
a,
built into the budget,
Yeah.
but we're also utilizing some of the fund balance to soften future increases as well, right? So we used, how much did we pull out of the fund balance for this year's budget? $200,000, right? To allow for a 2% increase? Is that what we did? Or a 1% increase in water, sewage rates?
Water was 1.5 and sewer.
but see, we had to borrow from that surplus to get it to that point. So we have to raise it a little bit next year so we can finally start making those and not be pulling from that. But, I mean, in 4 years, if we didn't raise rates, those debt payments would wipe out the surplus.
So, in order for us to be able to keep only a 1.5% increase, we've got to take a little bit from that fund balance, right? And I mean, I have those concerns, right? I mean, if we still have additional projects that we're going to be pulling, it's depleting that fund balance quicker than we would like. To Nate's point, then we need to build this into next year's budget. And, you know, if we know we've got a $400,000 worth of sewer line replacement, let's not put in $250 then.
You know, and to Kelly's point, I totally agree with what she said, but the thing that I tell people, your water and sewer is a user fee. It's not a tax. And the people that don't pay taxes, like nonprofits, the hospital, the schools, everybody else, they have to pay water and sewer bill. So that's how I look at it, and when I explain it to folks, they get it. It's not an additional tax. So that's the way I explain it to them.
My people don't get that.
Mine do.
I would threaten privatization.
No, I don't.
How they could triple their rates real quick.
So what do you want to do?
I mean, you wanna all chime in? I mean, I think what are we thinking? We support this at this point?
Yes.
I think Bob put a new, kind of shined a new light
Thank you, Bob.
on this project tonight, so.
We'll put in a appeal then.
Bob, I
Okay.
appreciate your tenacity.
Thank you, Bob.
I never
So
doubted
do
it
you
didn't
want us
get
to
done.
make a motion to? You don't
Needs
have to.
done.
It might be
Just
okay,
discussion.
but
No motion. No,
Yep. Okay, any other questions for anybody tonight?
I've got
Concerns?
just one quick question, that I wanted to make a note of and follow up with. I was talking to a couple of my counterparts, my friends on the county legislature, and they said that they received word on maybe some boat launches being talked about or being proposed in the city, and I didn't know, I hadn't heard anything about that, and I wondered if.
That's, yes, and where that is coming from is what do they call it, the Allegheny River Trail Committee, that's between Portville and all along here, all the way to Salamanca. And we were asked by Frank Higgins to give some prices on what a boat launch would be. And that's what
Is that something that potentially the county would be picking up, or the city would be picking up?
the money is being asked for from the
From the
county.
county.
From the county.
Great.
So is that,
Good deal.
Sewer fund.
No. Is that, I think Carrie brought that up quite a while ago.
Yeah.
About those, but
Resurrect
we
it
hadn't
again.
talked about it for a while. Okay, it's the
It's
same thing.
resurrected again.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's cool. I mean, I think, I think the council, I think I speak for all of us, and we think it's a great idea. The ones in Allegheny and Portville are great.
Yeah.
And
So much easier getting in and out.
sure, certainly would add some value, but I know those things are high priced too. So, cool.
Okay. And tonight, because it's National Night Out, hopefully you guys are going to be going out. I was
Absolutely.
telling Kelly earlier, I have a couple areas in my ward that had taken things taken and cars broken into, so that's where I'm going tonight.
Awesome.
Is to hand some of these out.
We're gonna need more signs at
Yeah,
some
we
point.
did-
Are we running
Pretty
low?
much on
Breaking into
Chapel.
cars all over the city again, and just so everybody knows too, we've had 3 acts of vandalism at the new parklet already.
Oh.
And you'll notice the swings are not there. We're trying to come up with a way that we're going to hang them where they won't damage them, so.
Wow.
Boards
Yeah.
were kicked out,
Yeah.
and the swings have been damaged twice now, so.
So just thinking outside the box on this, and I'm sure the chief has, are we at a point where we want to consider like citywide surveillance cameras
Yeah, we've been looking at,
up and down Union Street? or
yeah, we've been
something?
looking at,
Especially at the
The rec
parks.
center.
trying to look
Death
for
penalty.
trying to look for grants that we can do things like that and get some more cameras in. Cameras are going in the rec center and around the rec center, and cameras will be at the new facility across the street over there at there. So, yeah, I think it's unfortunately, I think as we look to do different projects and that, like this, I've asked Bob to consider when we do South Union Street to look at including some cameras in there, and it's sad.
It is. It
It's
is.
sad. But,
You know, Bill, the perfect example is at the rec center. Now we're down to 2 basketball hoops because they smashed the other
Yeah.
2. And you feel bad because there are kids that go there and use them.
Yeah.
But then I've watched the people that have gone there and just abused the whole
Yeah.
thing. And they ruin it for the other kids.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't replace them because they're just going to smash them again.
Well,
we'll take a look at that.
I do know they are used a lot. And,
Oh, yeah.
And would our insurance cover that?
We put a
We're a
claim in
municipality, so it's
on
an
that,
act of
and
terrorism.
and we had some other damage and stuff. We put a claim in, we haven't heard yet from the insurance company. So.
Yeah, I was walking my granddaughter in for the roller skating, and there were 2 kids in plain daylight trying to climb up on the roof. It is like they just have no fear. They have no concept. You shouldn't be doing that stuff. They just do
Well,
it.
you know, it's unfortunately the way the rec center is designed is kind of an invitation to,
It is.
to try to climb up those pillars. So
That's what they were doing.
We got to take a look at that too. So.
Just real quick, since we were talking about cameras, put Chief on the spot. The body cameras for the officers? is
We're
that-
waiting to hear on the grant that we've applied for.
Oh,
So,
Mayor, I got a call back from that guy. So he claims in September, I filed for a grant with the US DOJ, and I've made it through the first series, and now we're in the final review process. So that's good, you know, it wasn't already turned down. And he didn't say when in September, but sometime in September, they'll call me or email me and so you got it or you didn't get it. I mean, it's quite a bit of money if we get it, so it's worth the wait, you know, putting the program on hold. So if we get it, it'd be great.
fingers crossed then.
Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah.
Before we go, one more thing. I brought that letter in that we all got about going on the internet to the neighborhood thing. Do we have any more of an update on that?
Just what I sent everybody from.
So nothing else?
So they're social media, not a social media,
And
just a media for concerned neighbors.
Yeah, they're like Bob, like Kapobowski said. They try to make money.
Yeah.
Trying to sell ads. They're trying to get everybody involved in
And
it.
And get
Facebook
into
makes
your-
way more than on
Yeah.
ads and
Yeah.
selling people's private information. So I mean,
But it's also
Yeah.
getting into your email, which isn't a
Yeah.
smart thing.
No.
There's
So,
another one going on right now where they're calling from what appears to be Olean numbers, or even city building numbers. They use apps and software programs to piggyback off your home phone number, and so that you're more likely to believe what they're trying to tell you.
Yep.
So you'll be
It's
getting some
scary.
calls on that lately.
I missed a
I
call
was
yesterday
gonna
about
call
my
from my
credit
own
cards.
number.
From an
My
Olean
cell
number, and it
phone
rerouted. I clicked dial back,
Saying
and it
that
called
was
some
something.
guy out in Washington
my
State.
number.
Yeah.
And he had no idea who I was talking
Scary.
to. It didn't sound like anybody that was, you just sound like a guy that just, I called the wrong number.
Yep.
Make a
I got a
formal
political
motion.
call today.
Yes, you
I'll
can.
make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
All in favor?
Thanks, everybody.
Don't
Thanks.
swear. Yeah.